Mhm. Hey everyone, welcome to today's Program Yourself Thin podcast. Today we're talking about your weight loss story. And this kind of goes in both ways, right? Because a story has a beginning and an end, a past and a present and a future, I suppose. And so you want to look at all three areas, primarily, where you've been and where you plan on going in terms of your story. Because a lot of times the story we believe about ourselves and weight loss really imprisons us, right? It traps us. We think very limited things about us, and we think about ourselves very negatively because we think of our past experiences. And a lot of times the good news is that the things we tell ourselves about weight are completely wrong. And so the good news is that just by updating your awareness, just by realizing the story is different, you can make quick changes. Okay. We don't have to always wait just till we get results to start believing better things about ourselves, if that makes sense. So, typical weight loss stories. There's a great chance that if you've been struggling with your weight, you have begun to tell yourself a story that you can't lose weight because you're a sweetaholic, you are an overeater, you're a grazer, you're an emotional eater, whatever it may be. There's some story you tell yourself about your weight. And it's usually a story about who you are that causes you to have the weight that you have. And it's usually very limiting concept and idea of who you are. Okay. Because a lot of times, certainly the clients I work with, a lot of areas of their life, they're very successful, right? They might be well educated, might be, professional careers. They're successful in one area of their lives the way they want to be, and then they're struggling with their weight. And so a lot of times, the way they'll describe themselves with their weight is so limited. It doesn't take into account all their other skills. Does that make sense? Willpower, let's just start with that. That's one of the main ones. So, in your other areas of your life, I can almost guarantee you there's an abundance of willpower, right? Your ability to take care of your kids or to show up for your partner or to go to work and do the things that are important to you are probably way up here. So you have willpower. It's just when it comes to eating and weight, you haven't learned how to utilize it properly. But it's not a matter of you not having willpower. It's a matter of you not knowing how to use it in that context. And this is really the key to starting to change your story, is that a lot of times we look at the weight and we start to define ourselves globally. And that's a big mistake. As I said, with the willpower, I can't tell you the number of people that come in and say, I have no willpower. And yet when we look at their lives, there's just an overabundance of willpower when it comes to going to work, taking care of their kids, doing the things that they truly, truly value. And so a lot of times it's not a matter of ability, it's a matter of what we believe we can do. So when it comes to your weight loss story, you really want to reflect on the story you've been telling yourself, because a lot of times it's very limited and narrow and it's holding you back. And as you start to free yourself from that old narrative that you have no willpower, you're an overeater, all the rest of this stuff, you start to free yourself to achieve the results you want. Now, that's the next step of your story, is the future. What story do you want to have for yourself? Because a lot of times our mind projects into the future experienced in the past. And so if you've struggled with your weight in the past, it's normal and natural to project a future of struggle as well, to the point that you don't even believe anything's going to change. And when you do start a new plan, you never really commit to it because you don't really believe it's going to work. And so how we think of the future and the story we tell ourselves about the future is just as important as the story from the past. So we really need to update both of these stories if you want to change your weight long term. And the biggest thing I can share with you about changing your story in the future is that you can get better. Okay. And this is really the big thing I want you to get out of this, is that when it comes to your weight loss in the past, no, you haven't tried everything. Yes, you've tried a lot of different diets probably, but basically all of your weight loss attempts could be summarized as this. Someone told you what to do and you've tried to do it perfectly starting on day one, have been unable to stick with that long term, right? So whether it's keto, Weight Watchers, counting points, it doesn't matter what you've done. You've dove into it 100% on a Monday, most likely, done it for as long as you could, a couple days or weeks, and then you quit and go back to what you always do. And most likely that's been your pattern over and over and over and over and over again. Now, during that time, you have never learned how to manage your mindset, how to manage your lifestyle strategically, how to create an eating plan customized to you, your lifestyle, your preferences, likes and dislikes. You've never done the nitty gritty. Again, in Program Yourself Thin, we follow the goal weight pyramid, mindset, lifestyle, eating. We break those down into components, answer them. And what that does is it gives you a much more robust, granular, step-by-step system to deal with all the different pieces and components of mastering your weight. And most likely you've never done that. You've never learned all those things. And this is one of the core reasons you've struggled. So one of the best ways to change your future story about what you expect out of yourself with your weight is to start doing something different. If you continue to do the things that you've done in the past that haven't worked, your brain is going to say, this isn't going to work. What's the point? And you're pretty much dead in the water before you even start. When you start to realize, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to learn how to live as a thin, healthy person. I'm going to learn how to think, live, and eat like a thin, healthy person, customized to me so it feels comfortable and relatively automatic, so that I can not only get to my goal weight, but live there for the rest of my life. And as soon as your language starts to change about this, and as soon as you start to think about it differently, you start to feel freer. You start to feel more optimistic and hopeful. Because of course, if you're doing something different, there's a chance it could work. If you do things that haven't worked 100 times for you before, there's very little chance they're going to work. And so this is one of the best ways to change your story running forward, is to really start to reframe what is possible. And the key way to imagine something can be possible in the future that hasn't been there in the past is to do something different. Don't start the diet again. Don't start the keto plan again. Don't go back to Weight Watchers for the 100th time. Do something different. Okay, that's the big secret. So this is how you want to change your story, your weight loss story. Number one is you want to look back at the past and not just look at your mistakes and your failures and your setbacks. Start to look at your best qualities as a human being, not necessarily just with the food either. Look at your whole life and start to recognize your best core strengths. Then build your weight loss around those strengths. And then as you move forward, start to do something different. Please do not do the same plan you've done a million times. Move forward in a new way. And one of the best ways you can move forward in a new way is to click the link in my bio or go to Program Yourself Thin. Go get the free hypnosis session that I made for you. Go watch the training I made for you. It's all free. And what it'll do is it'll reveal a new path for you so that you can move forward in a new way that feels exciting and hopeful. And that's what I want for you. So go check that out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. What's up, Ruchi? Ruchi says exactly what I'm facing. Yeah, right. And that's what everyone's facing, right? Because of course, you're a human being. And so if things haven't worked in the past, they're not going to work in the future, most likely. And your brain already knows this. So again, I think apathy is such a huge challenge when it comes to losing weight, because we get to the point where, we don't even believe it before we even get started. And that's always a challenge. So it's got to be addressed. You know what I mean? I don't think it's one of these things you can just hope it doesn't exist or hope it's not going to bother you. I think at some point, if you're feeling apathetic about your weight, you've got to address it. And it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom here. The apathy is really not about you and your inability to change and do something different. It's about you knowing that the plan that you're about to embark on isn't going to work because you've tried it a million times and it hasn't worked. I can't stress enough. I mean, I see dieters doing this all the time. They always say like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And it's like, dieters by that definition are the most insane people, because dieters out of any group just seemingly just keep doing the same thing that doesn't work over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so I think it's really important that you start to look at this from a new angle, and again, the angle I always suggest is really even to the point that you stop fixating on weight loss and start focusing on living at your goal weight mastery. It's a completely different focus, but it changes everything else up. So anyways, yes, everyone's always dealing with that. But anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Any weight loss questions are welcome. No matter what you might be dealing with. Might be dealing with candy right this week. Might be dealing with lack of motivation. Again, all sorts of things can get in our way when it comes to losing weight. And the good news is, I'm here to tell you that a lot of those things that are blocking you from achieving your weight loss goals, most of them are mindset based. And the good news about mindset based challenges, they're hard to find. Like I always say, like, awareness of the mindset challenges is the hardest part of it. But once you recognize them, it's really not that hard. I'll tell you what, I'd rather work on my mindset than go to the gym an hour 4 or 5 times a week. You know what I mean? Like, instead of trying to get myself to exercise for, 4 or 5 hours every single week for the rest of my life, I would much rather work on my mindset. It's a lot easier and it's a lot longer lasting. So I will tell you that mindset really, in my opinion, is the thing that's missing the most from most people's weight loss journeys. I don't really consider it. I don't blame anyone. I mean, you just never learned about it. So if you've never learned about something, it's hard to just know about it, right? But anyways, so yes, and Program Yourself Thin, we do have a much more robust approach to this whole thing, and we follow the goal weight pyramid. So again, it's mindset, lifestyle, eating, and we break your weight down basically into those 3 categories. And the beauty of that is that, as much as it serves as a roadmap for you to follow, it also simultaneously on the flip side of that serves as a diagnostic tool, so that when hit different challenges, you have an ability to diagnose it in a more granular way than with a diet, it's all or nothing, right? And you're either just 100% doing perfect or you're not doing it at all. And so there's no way of really, there's no way really diagnosing stuff most of the time. Cause again, with dieting, it's just so big. You're either doing it perfect or not doing it all and nothing in between. And, that's always the first problem for people, dieters especially, is that there is no, I don't know, there's just no granular ability to kind of dive into what they're doing to be able to fix it, you know? So anyways, it's a key piece of the puzzle. But yes, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask them. Any weight loss questions are fine. You could be on a diet, want some help and support. You could be struggling with certain foods, struggling to figure out what your goal weight is. Any of the little things that are kind of getting you stuck, I'm here to help you with, because that's what I do. I've been doing this professionally for over 20 years. And so I will tell you, most of the time when I'm able to come face to face with someone's challenges, I'm able to kind of guide them through it, because again, most of the time, the secret to overcoming challenges is to come at them from a different angle, if that makes sense. What most people do is kind of come at from the same angle, get the same result over and over and over. It's just kind of looped, metaphorically, the metaphorical kind of hamster wheel, where you kind of just keep repeating the same thing. So it is, I don't know. It's not surprising, because we've all been taught to think like dieters our whole lives, and so I don't blame anyone here. That's why I'm literally here every day, because it's not fair for most people. You've never really learned any of this other stuff. Debbie says, went from 340 to 160 in my 30s and have been on a roller coaster ever since. I appreciate all your wisdom. Thank you, Debbie. And very interesting. Yeah, 340 to 160 in my 30s. How old are you now, and where's your weight now? Right, but it's been a roller coaster. Most people, it's a roller coaster. Weights for most people is a roller coaster, because all you study folks is how to lose weight. You have to understand, losing weight is just a phase. You're not going to lose weight forever. You know that. I know you know that, right? But I'm telling you, dieting, thinking like a dieter puts you into a hypnotic trance that makes you a dieter. And one of the key ways to break that trance is to realize that the goal here is not to lose weight. Losing weight is a temporary goal. It really is. I mean, like literally, linguistically, the literal definition, I'm going to lose weight, is a process to get to your goal weight, right? You've succeeded and finished that process when you get to your goal weight. We're done. It's over. I'm finished. You see what I mean? So when dieters think about weight loss, they think about their goal weight as the finish line. That's it. And this is one of the core mindset reasons why 95% is estimated, 95% of dieters that lose weight, that are successful to get to their goal weight, put the weight back on. And I believe it all starts right at the beginning with what you're focusing on. And if what you're focusing on is losing weight, never are you practicing or preparing to live at your goal weight, which is a completely different thing. Does that make sense? It's a whole different thing to lose weight than it is to live at your goal weight. And the biggest thing is this if I had to break it down into one reason why that is, it's this: that most dieters will trade the fun, pleasure, and excitement of the food for the fun, pleasure, excitement of the scale going down. Right. So basically, most dieters, when they first start, they're overweight, and it's because you've hooked a lot of your dopamine to food. And then they trade that dopamine spike to the scale going down. And so again, it's great. It kind of motivates you to get the scale going down. But then once you get to that final number, What do you do now? Where's your dopamine coming from now? Where's the excitement? What are you looking forward to? It's not the food and it's not the weight, because the weight's there. Now I know people say, well, I'm just gonna be so happy at my goal weight. I'm just gonna be thrilled. I'm gonna be skipping through life. That's probably true for a little while, but then you're going to normalize to it. We always normalize to our reality. And so, yeah, it's really fun when you're losing weight and people, oh my God, you look great. And then you run into, oh my shit, you look amazing. You look awesome. That feels great for a while. And then eventually people stop saying it, stops acknowledging it because it's just normal. And you just normalize to being your goal weight. And so what are you looking forward to now? Our brains need something to look forward to regularly. We need to have something that we're going to progress, evolve, get better at. And this is why, again, in Program Yourself Thin, we take the weight loss rapid and personal development, because we need something pulling us forward forever. This is why I'm over 30 years in this, right? I dropped over 50 pounds 30 years ago. I've maintained it for 30 years. I'm as excited and motivated today as I was 30 years ago. Did you hear that? Like, that is the secret. That's the ultimate secret, because that sets me up to live at my goal weight. That's the engine that drives the whole process, is your motivation. And my motivation is nonstop going forward, because it's not linked to my weight primarily. It's linked to becoming a better and better version of myself. It's linked to my personal development. And my personal development involves my body too. Again, my goal is to be the best version of me possible. And one piece of that is my weight, my health, my lifestyle, my mindset. There's a lot of other things too, though. And so I have lots of things that I can look forward to improving on. But the way I think about it in my mind, my weight is kind of weaved into that grander narrative, that more important narrative. And that's what helps me be more motivated than the average person, you know? And it's why I'm as I fired up and as excited now, because I'm still working on stuff. Do you understand? That's the difference. With weight loss, everything is about that scale going down, you getting to your goal weight. For me, weight mastery is about optimizing the system. So I'm at my goal weight. I'm not watching the scale go down. I get no benefit or motivation from the scale going down. My motivation and excitement comes from improved processes, little distinctions I make, new strategies I tweak or optimize or start, better results, better feelings, more energy, all of this stuff, subtle stuff though, but it jazzes me up. It keeps me fired up. I love it. Again, for me personally, I'm always optimizing this goal weight pyramid, so that I can feel better in an easier, more comfortable way each and every day, each and every month, each and every year. And that's what keeps me moving forward. But I don't have to worry about the scale anymore as my motivator. This is so important. I don't know if this makes sense to you all, but I'm telling you that the motivation is the key factor. That's why in Program Yourself Thin, right? As you can see, the mindset's at the bottom because it's the most important piece. And the very first part of mindset is motivation. Because I think most people don't even know how to motivate themselves. I truly believe this. I think most dieters don't really know how to motivate themselves. I think their motivation just runs all willy-nilly. Sometimes they're motivated, sometimes they're not, and they have no idea how to influence it. They're just at the mercy, of that motivation that comes and goes. And I think if you're really going to achieve the weight results you want, the health you want, the life you want, you've got to learn how to motivate yourself properly. So anyways, yeah, Debbie says 57 and at 185. Nice job, Debbie. I'm super proud of you. What an accomplishment. That's amazing. To maintain 185, again, I don't know how long you've been at 185, but to be at 185, it sounds like you've kind of figured this out quite a bit here. So to go to 340 to 185, makes you a weight superstar, literally. If we're looking at, if we're going to grade you in a population base, if you were at 340 and now you're maintaining around 185 for a consistent period of time, great work. Great job. Right. And that's the process, it is a process of learning, growing, evolving, tweaking. And I think dieting is typically not taught that way. Dieting is usually taught just as hacks. Just change one little thing, take one little herb, drink one kind of tea. And next thing you know, you lose all the weight. And it's just total bullshit. I think you need a comprehensive, holistic strategy if you're really going to master your weight. That's what I think. What's up, Vicky? Vicky says, hi, Jim. I need this reminder about living at my goal, weight range every day. Many thanks. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Everyone needs to hear that all the time. I mean, honestly, we need to remember that living at your goal weight is such a completely different thing than losing weight. I just can't stress this enough, and it's like, okay, so I got a degree in investments, and it's like making money is completely different than earning money from investments and having like a financial investment portfolio. Does that make sense? Right? They're two like totally different things. And, obviously they're they're both related. You know what I mean? Like, but what you really want, I mean, an ideal world, and I know not everyone can make this happen, but in an ideal world, you would like your investments to support you and make you the money that you live off of. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's a higher goal. And sometimes focusing on the higher goal is really important. Well, obviously focus on the goal you want is really important, right? Well, what goals are you aiming at? You know? And so what most people are doing is they're aiming at weight loss though, and it sets them up for failure for so many reasons. Again, I could talk about this for hours. I'm not going to. I do want to stick to your questions. I want you all, if you are struggling with something, my goal here is to help you move through that and consequently be able to help other people move through their challenges too, by doing that, but I want you to know that the big thing holding you back, I can help you through that probably real quick. Like that's what I'm trying to say to you. That's what I do with my clients all day long. Paralyzing limiting beliefs that have held people back for decades. I'm able to work with them for 10 minutes and move them past it. And that's what I do. And that's what I do here for free every day. So again, if you all do have specific questions about things you're struggling with, please share them and let me take a swing at it. Right? We got nothing to lose here. Touche says, thank you for the info on motivation. You're welcome. Yeah. Motivation. I'm just obsessed with motivation because again, the more, putting time and energy into motivation and understanding, there's a science of motivation. We go through that in the program. Again, I mean, like this here, for example, just to prove this point, this is the goal weight blueprint we use in the program. And again, I mean, you could see it's 144 pages. You know what I mean? Like we break this pyramid down into, granular details. So you can answer it and have all this at your disposal. But the motivation piece is where we start because it's the key part. Like most dieters aren't really motivated. If you've wanted to lose weight for a long time and haven't done it, your main problem is that you're not really motivated, most likely, so it's just, don't take that personally. It's what I've seen, and I get on here not to bullshit you all, it's to help you out. So it's what I've seen though. Thanks. Rob says you're the best. Thanks. Well, you're welcome. Yeah. Nice to hear. Yeah. I am here to help out. So any questions, feel free to ask them. What's up, Karen? Karen, finally. I don't know what's going on there, Karen. I'm glad we got that all resolved. User 842 says 28 days, no alcohol, down 15 pounds. Alcohol will make you so fat. Sure. Now, again, you know what I mean? Like that's a relative thing though. Alcohol makes some people overweight and some people, they lose weight on alcohol. It's important to recognize that nature of weight because I think one of the big disservices that diets do to you is they get you to think about yourself just like you're like everyone else, because think about it. Diets are just these big sweeping proclamations to help everyone in the world lose weight, right? Like everyone's going to do keto and just cut carbs. Everyone's going to count their points and lose weight. Everyone's going to stop eating for 16 hours and intermittent fast. It's always like put out this way. They're like, all right, you're all the same. All 7 billion of you are the same. Here, do this, And I think just from the very first whisperings of dieting, it's always putting these shitty ideas in your head. And one of the core ones is that you're just like everyone else, and it really dooms you. So, again, great job with the no alcohol. And I'm glad you got to see the effect it has on your weight. But just anyways, because what I say to you is that because someone who drinks alcohol might hear that and say, oh my God, I have to give up alcohol to lose weight. You do not. You do not. You can continue a lot of your bad habits and lose weight most of the time, if you're serious and strategic. And so anyways, but great job. Great job. I'm happy for you to do that experiment with you and to recognize what an impact that has on your weight, because now you know that, and now you bring even more reasons into moderating or eliminating alcohol completely. So great job. And that gives you other people something to think about. If you are drinking and you do want to get a handle on your weight and you've been struggling, that's just something else you can focus on. But you don't need to eliminate it completely either. Again, in Program Yourself Thin, one of the big distinctions with Program Yourself Thin versus dieting is all or nothing, and Program Yourself Thin, we're all or something. So we still have all moments, right? So still we support, take 28 days off from alcohol. Great. But if you get 10 days into that and you say, I beer, right? That's fine too. Okay. Let's just keep doing something, right? So maybe you're drinking 7 days a week and now, you took 10 days off and now, oh God, I blew it. No, you didn't blow shit. Okay. Took 10 days off. Great job. So statistically this month, you're already set up to have a great month in terms of reducing alcohol. And so again, all or something is really the core philosophy of Program Yourself Thin. And it sets you up for success in so many different ways. But that's a great job, user. Keep it up and keep up the good work and results. Louise says, how do you start undieting? Good question. And the secret to any question that is basically about how do you stop doing something, and I like to start undieting, but it's an illusion, meaning how do you start undieting is the same as how do you stop dieting. And so what happens is your brain doesn't understand negative. So you can never walk very long along the path of how do I stop doing something? How do I start undieting? So we don't want to focus on what we want to stop doing. We want to focus on what we're going to start doing. And so the answer to your question, Louise, is how do you start undieting? Is you start focusing on living at your goal weight. Now, that may not be a very satisfying answer, but that's where we start. And there's a big difference there. You don't want to become a master of undieting. That's not your goal. You don't want to be the best undieter in the world, right? Because that whole concept is built around the idea of dieting. So we want to take dieting and just boop, goodbye. We're not talking about you anymore. Okay. What we're going to focus on is how to think, live, and eat like a thin, healthy person. So that becomes your new question, Louise, right? Instead of how do I start undieting? How do I stop dieting? Nope. Goodbye. Instead, you focus all your energy and attention on how do I think, live, and eat like a thin, healthy person for the rest of my life in the most comfortable, easy, and enjoyable way possible. And I see you're on Facebook, so I'm going to give you a link here that I will say will start this process for you. And it is my Program Yourself Thin free hypnosis session. Bloop. There it is. Go check that out, right? And that's how you start. That's how you start thinking, living, and eating like a thin, healthy person. But that's your goal, Louise. I hope that makes sense to you. Melissa says, how do I stop craving for food? Well, it's interesting how you said that. So how do I stop craving food? How do I stop craving for food? The difference being that one would be this generalized, how do I stop cravings for food, period, general, all food. And the other one would be, how do I stop cravings for specific foods? So I'm not sure exactly which one you meant. The first one's going to be impossible. You'll never, ever be able to stop craving for food. It's hardwired into you and it's important because you got to eat so you can live. Okay, so we're never going to stop craving for food. Now, if it comes, how do I stop craving for certain foods? Okay, that's a different conversation. And it's going to take a multi-layered approach, most likely. Right? There's no just secret hack or simple thing. So basically, the first thing we want to do is we want to identify the foods that we have cravings for that are a bit out of control, right? Because you have cravings for all foods. You're not talking about that. Specifically, you're saying, how do I, most likely, you're saying, how do I stop the cravings for unhealthy foods that are keeping me overweight? That's probably what you mean. And so the first thing I want to know is, what's the number one food at the top of that list? What's the number one food that's keeping the extra weight on your body? Everyone's got a number one, right? It might be potato chips. It might be cookies at night. It might be ice cream at night. It might be pizza. It might be, I don't know, but everyone's got a food, right? Because this is about food. So if it's about a food, we want to identify the first food. We're not going to ask, how can I stop eating all the junk food? Oh my God, that's so much stuff. You're not going to just stop the craving for all the junk food. Okay. We have to break it down a bit first. And so I would suggest first pick the food that you think has got the biggest impact or the second biggest impact, and then go to work on that. How can I cut the craving down? Well, first thing you do, pretty much all food, because when we're talking about cravings for food, we're talking about ultra processed food, almost guaranteed. And what we want to start doing is, you have to think about ultra processed food and how much you're eating of it. It's very much like the quantity of a substance you may abuse or use, you know? And so if someone's got a substance use issue, now again, this isn't a substance use issue, but it's in that ballpark. But one thing that's similar is we want to dial down the quantity of it. As you dial down the quantity, you tend to dial down the cravings, typically. So that's the first thing we want to go at, is to really stalk and understand the food that you have the cravings for that are sabotaging you most, and go to work on that one. How can I reduce that? When does it happen? What other things can I do? What are some alternatives? What are some other behaviors? How can I dial it down? And I begin focusing on that and continue to walk that path. Melissa says, I have a good appetite, so I like all kinds of food. Okay, so now I think your question's different. Now I think you're saying, how can I reduce my appetite? See, we have to be very, very clear and literal with our language. Your subconscious mind is very, very literal. It's like a computer. And so we can't speak in generalities, and dieting does tend to train you to speak in generalities. So when it comes to changing your behavior, you need to be very, very specific. And even with the Melissa, we're figuring that out. It's a huge difference between saying, how do I stop craving food and how do I reduce my appetite? Those are two totally different things, right? So we need to get specific with whatever our challenges are. And we tend to think in kind of big, vague, general ways that kind of trap us and overwhelm us. So again, it's important we use our language to dive into the issue and start to break it up so that we can work on it in small, comfortable, bite-sized pieces, if that makes sense. But there's lots of ways to reduce your appetite. Again, so when it comes to reducing your appetite, again, but it's not just one thing. It's a holistic system you need to aim at your appetite, because your appetite is partly based on your mindset, partly based on your lifestyle, and partly based on your eating, just to be honest. There's not just a simple answer. It's not just a simple pill. It's not that. It's a bunch of different factors. And if you put the time in and figure out how to fix those, you can dramatically change your appetite. You can dramatically change food noise naturally by learning how to run your mind, learning how to, improve your lifestyle and to really dial in your eating in a way that works for you. So yeah. All right. Yes, everybody is different. He says just reduce the consumption of alcohol and I'll reduce the consumption of ice cream and gelato. Yes, exactly. Always something rules. Zamboni says, how do you deal with in front of food, eat? I like the addition, the motivation and diet. Hold on a second. How do you deal with in front of food, eat it like addiction, the motivation and diet you forget you're on? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. That's a huge one, right? Yeah. You're all motivated and excited to be on your diet and lose weight and eat well. And then all of a sudden the food's right in front of you. Gone. Right now in Program Yourself Thin, we talk about that as the eating trances. By the way, I just want to mention real quick that you all do this. We all do this, right? We're thinking one thing, walking into a situation. Next thing you know, we're eating a bunch of bullshit. How did that happen, right? So again, in Program Yourself Thin, we describe it as eating trances. You're in trances all the time, folks. We have trance-like brains. We have hypnotic brains. We're constantly in trances. We live our lives on autopilot. We can't just consciously be in control of every little choice and thought that we're making all day long. We run our lives on autopilot. And a lot of times that autopilot takes over so completely that we don't even realize what we're doing until we're already finished with it almost, right? And that certainly applies to a lot of eating. And so in Program Yourself, then we do this by programming our subconscious mind so that our automatic behaviors start to be behaviors we want. Because what most people are doing is that you have kind of unhealthy, overweight subconscious programming. And when you try and lose weight, you try to consciously fight against that. And that's when you get to those situations where you intended to do well. Next thing you know, before you knew it, you were eating the wrong thing. You didn't even realize it till it was too late. So extremely common. And I think it just gets to the heart of why dieting doesn't work, because most dieters have no idea how their mind works, right? In Program Yourself Thin, we approach the mind in two ways, right? There's a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Conscious part of your mind is your prefrontal cortex anatomically. It's about 10% of your brain. It's the logical, rational part of your brain that knows why you should lose weight, tries to get you to lose weight. It's where your willpower is, studies the best plans to follow to lose weight, right? That's your logical conscious mind. But all your habitual thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are run by your subconscious mind. And so this is the powerful part of your mind that's truly in control of your weight. And you've never learned or worked on changing this. Every time you've tried to lose weight, it's you consciously trying to fight against yourself. And it leads to situations of the eating trances and other things like that. So again, the real transformation you're looking for is not just losing weight and fighting against yourself. It's naturally and automatically doing the things that keep you at your goal weight, that get you there and then keep you there. And again, in Program Yourself Thin, we use a holistic strategy of transforming your mindset, lifestyle, and eating, and programming in new thoughts, feelings, and behaviors so that you naturally are able to get to your goal weight and then live there. So I hope that makes sense. And so again, I would strongly suggest go grab that hypnosis session that I have. Just click the link in my bio and go grab it. Julie says, is there a way to stop the food noise without being on GLP-1? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely there is. Again, I talk about this every day. I would take my success stories on Program Yourself Thin versus the success stories of GLP-1s all day long. We deal absolutely with food noise. So again, food noise really comes down to, it's a 3-part system. Everything kind of comes down to these 3 parts. So food noise is not just this mental internal dialogue thing. It's a physiological thing, right? Food noise is literally your hormonal function and your hunger and your appetite and craving for food. It's certainly your mindset and what you're thinking and saying to yourself. So it is a more robust concept than just like food noise. What's that mean exactly? Right. So again, in Program Yourself Thin to deal with food noise naturally, we get our mindset right. We learn how to run our own minds, right? That's a big part of it, is learning how to talk to yourself, how to manage your mind, how to think more effectively. Physiologically, we absolutely build and practice feeling more calm and grounded. Eating wise, we begin to eat healthier foods, reduce the unhealthy stuff, and we create a healthier lifestyle where you're just more calm, grounded, energized, relaxed. We create an environment where you're surrounded by better food cues. We put the food into your body that truly nourishes you and supports you feeling grounded and calm and good. So again, it's a robust, holistic system to deal with food noise. So again, I need to be clear because I don't want to waste anyone's time. Program Yourself Thin is really not for most people. Like, to be honest, my clients are typically overthinkers, action takers, perfectionists, overachievers. That's really the people that because I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to fill this out, you know what I mean? So again, a lot of them went to college. They listen to podcasts all the time. They're just always absorbing information. That's really who this is for. I just want to make that clear. So yes, it absolutely takes effort and work, where GLPs are just injecting yourself and go about your day. So this path is definitely takes more mental work and energy and thought. But again, I think the reward is worth it. That at the end of the day, you you have a long-term real system as well, though. So that helps. This is why GLP-1 works, I believe. Yeah, GLP-1, I mean, it basically, it depends how deep you want to get with it, but basically it makes you feel full all the time, but full to the point of nausea. Again, it's a medicine. So I'm going to sit and say, oh, it's going to do this to you. Because again, if you look at the data and the studies of GLP-1s, 20% of the people doesn't even work for it all. Right. And then because they get too sick, because again, they're getting better at managing it, but basically it brings you right to the point of almost being nauseous, but then just right down it. So a big part of GLP-1s that it activates your aversion system. People don't realize this. I think about this all day long. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like no one really thinks about that because people are just so excited to lose weight. They don't give a shit about what happens. Okay. But again, I look at the long-term reality of living on a GLP-1. And the biggest thing that always sticks in my head is that, you always feel full. You never enjoy food the way you used to either. And I don't know, that would be I love food so much that would be I know people are excited to lose weight. So I don't give a shit what happens, but I'm curious to see what happens to people that get to their goal weight or whatever. They stop losing weight on the GLP-1s and have to continue taking it. And now they have to face a life of never really enjoying food ever again. Not the way they did. You know what I mean? Like, no. Do you enjoy food would you enjoy a second meal as much as you enjoyed the first meal? Like the second meal right after? You know what I mean? Like when you're pretty full, you don't enjoy food as much. Food's a relative experience. And so, no one's talking about that now because everyone just wants to lose weight. No one cares about that, but that's going to come up. It's going to come up. So anyways, I think about that all the time. What's up, Lindsay? Lindsay says, hey, Jim, you don't have to answer this question now, but I was wondering if one day you can make a dedicated video to the different packages you offer. Who is best for each package? I want to sign up for something on your website. I'm overwhelmed with what to pick. I want Jim AI access as well as access to live calls. It's real simple. And I get what you're saying, and I'm clarifying a lot of that right now. There's the main Program Yourself Thin system. That's the main thing I would suggest. You get Jim AI with it. We just launched Jim AI is sending out messages every day now. That's really cool. So yeah, a lot of cool things happening, and even for free too, folks. That's why I say to you all, if you're not in my world, if you haven't signed up for the hypnosis session, please sign up for that. Please sign up because it's free. I give you so much free stuff, and I got new free stuff coming. I started a free community and I got a bunch of free things in there. So go check that out. But yeah, it's clarifying the packages that are offering, but basically what you would want is the Program Yourself Thin system. And, there is a live call. There's a live Q&A call we do every week with that. And it's going to be cool because you'll be able to ask questions ahead of time. If you can't make it, there's a replay available and you'll be able to do it. So yeah, And Lindsay, yes, the main system. Yeah, you can get it for that, Lindsay. If you shoot me an email or message me at YouTube, no, send me an email at jim@programyourselfthin.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me right now. But I'll send you a link for that because that price is going up. That price will never be available after this week. It's only available in a couple of weird spots right now anyways, but I will hook you up. I know you've been around here for a while, but that's the plan I would suggest. There is coaching upgrades too, but those are, a bit more investment wise, but the main program, which is the greatest value on the planet, this program is just amazing. So anyways, yes, if you shoot me a message and I'll get you a better link for that. Melissa says, I just followed you yesterday and like how you explain everything. Well, thank you. Yeah. Keep following. And again, make sure, Melissa, that you go get that free hypnosis session because you want to get on my email list. I got a bunch of cool stuff coming. I mean, it's so exciting. I'm literally giving you all a free program. I'm putting a program together and it's got hypnosis sessions. It's got a training. I'm going to give you access to Gym AI for a week. You know what I mean? Like it's again, I always say this and I say it proudly, but no one is going to give you more free stuff than I am to help you get control of your weight, There's a line. I'm still struggling with not liking food any longer. Nothing never sounds good. Yeah, that'll happen. That'll happen. Karen says, I fight nighttime cravings. If I give in, I know. I fight nighttime cravings. If I give in, I now have half an apple or a baby bell cheese instead of tortillas with butter or cookies because of your podcast. Thank you, Karen. That's awesome. I love that. I think that's a wonderful strategy. And I think it's so wonderful because what you're doing is you're giving yourself an alternative rather than just nothing. I'm sure you have tried to fight your nighttime cravings forever, and you've tried to fight them by saying, no, I'm not going to have anything. So I'm really proud of you for really embracing the all or something strategy and philosophy and giving yourself an option instead. And I would give you one little suggestion is I wouldn't want to fight nighttime cravings. I don't want to fight cravings. As soon as we articulate it as fighting cravings, we're already setting up as this confrontational battle. And that just elevates all the energy of it in not a helpful way, right? Now, again, I'm a hypnotist and language matters a lot to me, but me personally, I would rather work to manage my nighttime cravings. I'd rather work to manage my nighttime eating so that I start making healthier and healthier choices and get it comfortably so that my nighttime eating is supporting me living at my goal weight. Do you see the difference, right? It may sound like the same, but it's just the language I hope makes you feel more hopeful, more better as you articulate it. But great job, Karen. Great job taking action. Oh, thanks, Deanna. Deanna says, do it. You'll learn so much. Yeah, the program, I'm not going to lie. It's just quite a program. It really is. And I'm so happy to announce I got the final draft of the book done. So this is so exciting this week here. I got some kind of design and formatting things I'm working on. And so I do expect that this book should be available within the next 2 weeks to order from Amazon. And I cannot wait for you all to get this. I'm so excited. It's just an awesome book. It basically describes the whole Program Yourself Thin system and hypnotic stories and kind of really easy to digest. I love this book. And so those of you that are in the program, I think you're going to love it. It's just a really cool way to keep reinforcing the core ideas. And for those of you that aren't in it, it's just a great way to kind of experience them, and I think you're going to love it. I cannot wait. I can't wait to get this book out there. So yes, that is moving forward. And then as soon as that's done, it's on to the next one. Alice says, where do I find the info like the hypnosis, please? Alice, click the link. If you're on TikTok, go up in the little picture of me in the top left corner, click that. You'll go to my bio and you'll see like a link in my bio and you can go get the free hypnosis session there. Once you opt into that, it takes 10 seconds. As soon as you opt in there, you'll be on my email list and you'll get the hypnosis session. I got a training I made for you. Probably this week, maybe next week, but I got the community. I'm starting a free community. I'm gonna give you more stuff in there and it's really cool. I love the community. It's all kind of firing on all cylinders. It's working so well. We got Gym AI kind of integrated in there. Oh man, it's just exciting times. A lot of cool things happen these next couple of weeks, especially. So make sure y'all get in there. Yes, the book is coming. Yes, the book, it's awesome. I think, I don't know. I have not shown it to anyone else. Maybe I should shut up until I get some other feedback on it. But I think it's really good. I've been doing this for a long time and I'm just so excited by it. And I've read it so many times and I enjoy reading it so much. So anyways, I'll let you all get your own opinion of it, but I'm excited about it. Melancholy Green, how's it going? Says the scale is not showing pounds consistently coming off, but I do notice how my body feels, how my actual body feels under my hands and just how it moves and things I notice that are different. that keeps me going when the scale is being a mean girl. Yeah, I get it. Well, great job. Great job. I love the attitude. And that's just how it is sometimes. And again, the scale does what the scale does, but the scale is just a reflection, folks. Just like you don't get mad at the mirror when it reflects an image you're not happy with, you take care of what's being reflected. And the scale is just a mirror that's reflecting back your behaviors, And so, in a way, I think that's wonderful because we've got to manage the scale because it's always that way. Our excitement and motivation always outpaces what the scale says, always, especially over time. Even if you lose some weight quickly, over time, unless you got 5 pounds to lose or something, but if you have any significant amount of weight to lose, it's going to take longer than you expect. And you've got to be able to manage that. And so I think what you're doing, Melancholy Green, is the perfect plan. You start paying attention to other things. That's the secret. You've got to pay attention to other things than just the scale. You pay attention to the scale too, but there's so many other things that improve when you start eating better, living better, thinking better. I mean, there's so many things that get better. So why not pay attention to them, enjoy them, celebrate them, as you keep walking this path. So, because they keep you going, when you do hit the plateaus. So nice job, Melancholy. Says, do we need to pay for the program first, or can we try some trial sessions before we pay? Oh yeah, there's a free, again, where are you at? You're on Facebook. There should be a link right in these comments. If you scroll up, I put a link to go get the hypnosis session, and that's free. I got a training for you. I give you all sorts of stuff. And again, it's all put in one place. That's why I'm excited for most of you that haven't been in there yet. But I have this whole Circle app, and I have a whole free section I put together. And within there's literally everything I give you for free right there. So it's just really accessible and easy to access. So yeah, you can test a bunch of stuff out and see if it kind of resonates with you, before you make any bigger commitment to it. Cool. All right, I'm going to get out of here, everyone. Thank you so much. Great questions. Great comments. I appreciate them all, and wish you all the best here. Again, if you're not in my world, make sure you click the link in my bio or go to programyourselfthin.com. Go get that free hypnosis session. Get into my world. I got a bunch of free stuff coming for you. And if you like this, I'm here every Monday through Friday, usually around noon Eastern, to answer any questions you may have, help you move forward in any way that I can. And if you can't listen to the live and like listening to it, though, it's also a podcast. You can go search Program Yourself Thin on any podcast platform. It'll pop up and you can go listen to it. So, all right, everyone, have a super duper day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.